I'm not telling you what to do. I'm describing what it was like for me. And that's it. That's all I have to offer. Lean a lot into the things that people kind of make fun of when they're like, oh, not to get woo woo. Like, no, we're going to lean into it here. Like, we're going to get woo woo. Like, let's have this conversation. Let's have all the conversations.
Hello. So I'm 40. It's my birthday. It's just like 15 minutes after 12. And I I found myself craving obscurity. I've been posting a lot. I've been sharing a lot on the podcast, which I really enjoy in the podcast. In social media, like I like to curate moments, but I'm not a big fan of like posting and sharing and even engaging on social media. It's not my favorite. So, and even today, like, it's been an amazing day. I woke up and I drove out here to San Diego and I recorded a lot of different parts of it, little videos here and there, which is great. But also, like, I love to keep moments just sacred for me, especially when it's me and God. And so I'd been documenting throughout here and there just in case I want to use it for something, probably a post or just to remember for myself, really, to document. Because it's always like, I've never regretted having a video to look back on. Like, it's always like, that's so cool. I love that. So that's my first motivation to document things because I've gone, taking a year and 2 and 3 years off of social media where it's just like, it's so much better without it. But all that to say that I was at a coffee shop right now. There was live music. It was incredible. And I was like, oh shit, it's about to be midnight. I got like 15 minutes and I was writing and I was like, maybe I should be writing when I bring in not New Year's, my birthday, my 40th birthday, because that's what I do. I write. And then I'm writing and I'm like, no, actually, I want to be singing when the clock turns and I turn 40. So I'm going to go get my car and drive and just sing my heart out at the top of my lungs. Because, driving is always like full concert mode. And I get in my car and I'm like, getting ready. I turn the car on and I'm like getting ready to drive. And I'm like, actually, I don't want to be doing anything. And I turn everything off. I put my phone on D&D, silent it. And I put my phone on do not disturb and I silence it and it's like 11:55 and I just sit my seat back and I was going to record like a voice memo just because I love to capture prayers and moments and I was planning on just being silent and I was, and then I just like gratitude just starts coming over me and pouring out of me and I'm talking with God and I'm like talking with my angels and every spirit and ancestor and everything that has ever supported me. And I'm like, we're here. We made it. And I couldn't have done it without you all. Literally, I could not have done it without you. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you. And I'm like just talking to God and I'm just like, thank you for your grace. Thank you for your favor. Thank you for your love. And I'm realizing that because I just put a post up from my last podcast and the post I put on it, truth sets us free. And I was talking about how like freedom is my motivation. It's my ultimate goal. And it's why I share my story. And it's like you have to confront the truth within yourself to really get to freedom. And you know how they say like the thing that you're really good at that you just kind of do without thinking about it. You don't really realize that you're good at it because it's come so naturally to you that you just do it and you don't even consider that like other people don't live their lives that way. Other people aren't good at that. It just feels so natural to you. You don't have to try. So it doesn't feel like you're doing anything extra. for that. I realized that during this moment, I realized that the thing for me is that God has always been my best friend. And I live my life in a way where and I've grown and evolved into this over the years, but I live my life in a way where I know God knows me through and through. And it's like truth does set you free, but the reason why I can have so much transparency and so much integrity and so much be unwaveringly committed to having a pure heart and pure intentions is because I know that I am fully known by God. And in spite of whatever whatever God has seen or known about me, I am fully loved. That's my freedom. That's the underlining truth of my whole life. And that's why I can have that's why there's light in me. That's why there's a lightness of my being, because that's why I'm free. And as a result of that freedom, I'm able to share my truth regardless of what people will think of any of it, because it's like, well, if God, who's God, and like God's heart is my home and God lives in my heart, like what higher purpose or calling or goal is there than that? And so if I already am existing with that highest thing, highest state of being, highest just that. I don't even know what to call it. If I already exist with that as my truth, as my experience of my life, then everything else like is just like whatever, you know. Not only that, I remember this came to me like I think it was 2020 or 2021. It was like a mantra, and I remember typing it out and then just saying it over and over and over to myself when I was trying to undo a lot of stuff, kind of deconstruction Christianity for me and figuring out what was true for me and what was just kind of religious dogma that didn't really resonate. And the mantra goes, I have nothing to prove, no one to save, and God is already pleased with me. Nothing to prove, no one to save, and God is already pleased with me. That's the thing that comes naturally to me. That's the thing that when I wake up on the right side of the bed, when I remember my truth and my identity and who I am, that's the premise on which I go through my day, on which I live my life. That's the premise on which I interact with people, and I'm able to look people in their eyes and just see them and just smile or say something genuine, you know. And it's not me. Like it's not me. It's God's love through me. And like part of what I was over here just in gratitude about is like, God, you genuinely, me knowing you and being able to experience you and so closely, so intimately is the greatest gift of my whole life, regardless of what has happened and what's going to happen, hard or easy, difficult or filled with favor. Like it doesn't really matter because my home is in your heart. And like I don't talk about this a lot, but it's like it's just I don't necessarily talk about prayer a lot because to me prayer is just conversation with God, and to me conversation with God is it never ends. It's like what is it? I think it's First Thessalonians 5:17. Pray without ceasing. Like exactly. Like it's just a constant, and it's not even a prayer or a conversation. It's like a constant flow and dance and like of life with life and God and the universe and even the spirit team and angels and the unseen realms, like, it's all a co-collaboration, working everything together for my highest and greatest good. And I don't know if I'm special. Like, I feel like anybody who wants access to this can have access to this. I personally feel so fortunate and favored that I've known God as my closest friend since I was a little girl. Like I used to have hours of conversation with God in my bed, is not supposed to be falling asleep. Like it's just always been my first nature. You know, when I was little, I went to Catholic school, so they taught us how to pray, but like I don't know where this came from. I feel like my mom, she taught us how to pray a lot. And talk about generational stuff that's handed down. I remember Tony Robbins once said, he's like, if you're going to blame people for stuff, blame them for all of it. Blame them for the good stuff too. I know my grandma, both my grandmas were fervent prayer warriors, however you say that. Like, and that both of my parents, again, like they were just, we used to pray the rosary as a family. I used to go with my mom to work. It was a 45-minute drive. And we used to pray the whole way there. And it was just a practice that I inherited in my DNA and in my nurturing and development. And like, wow, like that's been, I can honestly say, the greatest gift of my whole life. And like, I've known this for a while. I've said this before, and I've been so grateful for this because like, no matter what I've experienced and no matter what I'm going to experience, highs and lows, this is my center. This is my homeostasis. This is my home. And I can't be moved from here. And because I've already really fulfilled my highest calling, it's like everything else is like it's just play. Other than the sacred work of raising my daughters, you know, with similar value systems of believe whatever you want to believe, but make sure you go inward and you look for truth and that you have integrity to that truth that you know is real for you. I'm 40. I went to the ocean today. The drive here was amazing. I sang, I listened to podcasts. I listened to my podcast to help me reflect on just really releasing. When I got to the ocean, it felt like just being able to release. And what's interesting is like there was this moment that I was having of like releasing kind of all the pain and stuff because I've talked about that a lot in recent podcasts. And it's like it was like a 1 or 2 minute release. And that was it. It was like, yeah, you're done. Like you've already done a lot of this work. Like that's it. You're good. You are good to go. And I was just able to enjoy. I'm so glad that I have like a few more days here to go back and mm, just relish in the sunshine. I went at sunset, which was gorgeous, breathtaking. I'm in La Jolla right now still. That's the beach I went to. I guess I don't know if it's a city within San Diego. I'm not really sure where I am. But I went to the beach. It got dark and my fingers were frozen from being in the water still. And I packed up my stuff and walked back to the car. I was walking through the neighborhood and I'm not gonna lie, it felt like I was being prepared to pick out a home. I've always said I wanted a beach house in San Diego on the shore of San Diego. And it was like, which one do you want? Like that one? Do you like that one? You know? And yes, call me delusional as fuck because I am, but also I feel it, you know, I feel it. I don't know what, I don't know how, I don't know when, I don't know through whom, but like I know that I'm living fully aligned right now and in my purpose and in my bliss of my life. I know that I've been given the word harvest and that's it. Like there's not much more to think about it. And then I was driving around, I yelped this rooftop bar. I ended up eating there. I had like a steak sandwich with fries and a sangria. And I took my journal and I was journaling while I was waiting for my food. And I was listening to some music. And then I walked over here to this coffee house that, holy shit, like they had live music, had this Biscoff cheesecake with like this latte that had two shots of espressos. I'm gonna be up till Tuesday. It's Saturday. But I was walking up the street because I had to wait for a table up there because she was like, "You want to sit at the bar? I have one seat right here." It was like right at the entrance. I was like, "I'll wait." It was like 25 minutes. I was like, "I'll wait." So I went to go walk. I'm really learning to like really let myself do what I want. No compromises. Like let the abundance flow. Like I just feel so provided for and so like what do you actually want? And wait if you need to wait. Literally. Don't rush yourself. Don't settle, you know? Anyway, so I walked up while I was waiting for the table, and there's this gallery. I'm actually right across the street from it right here. It's Ian Eli Gallery. And I'm just like walking past and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, wait a minute. This is like prominent location. Like we were right off the coast right here. And this is a huge, like it's a pretty big space. And it's photography. And I like look in, I'm like, oh, that's really pretty. Like beautiful. Like, oh my God. And I walk by a little bit more, and then the one picture, it's like this horizontal. I think she said it was 10 feet wide, probably like 3 feet tall, something like that. And it's the horizon. And it's like breathtaking. And I look at it, and immediately I'm like, that's gonna go over my bed. It's like it's almost as good as having a balcony over the ocean. I want both, but like it was beautiful. I took a picture and a video of it. Like it's not going to do it justice. It was huge and it's like encased in this like glass. And it was, I took the lady's card and she kind of like walked me through the gallery. And at first when I walked in there, she kind of looked at me like, do you belong here? Kind of like, just brushing me off like, oh, hey. And then I started to ask questions about that painting. And I was just like curious, like so curious, genuinely, because I'm just like, this is amazing. And part of me is agreeing with her at first, where I'm like, do I belong here? But another part of me is like, ask her, figure this out, because if you want that, that can be yours. And it's not about the money. It's about what do you want, Vanessa? Your life and the universe is prepared to grant you the desires of your heart. I'm not sitting here thinking, how am I going to get $20,000 to buy this? Because she was even saying, like, you can do payment plans, paid over 6 months, blah, 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 blah. We have other ones that are 5,000. We have these little ones that are 500. Like, she's a salesperson. And I'm like, I want that one. It might be a little bit too big, but not if I have, the home that I want that I saw on the way out of the beach. Like, oh my God, it was gorgeous. It was so beautiful. It's like the next best thing to being at the beach. But I still want both. but but like that's the energy that I'm on, is like I just no longer wish to deny myself of anything that the desire is within me. It's like I just have this innate like just knowing of like if the desire is within me, the universe will provide. If the desire is in me, God will give me the desires of my heart. I was leaving the beach today and I was like talking to God. And then sometimes I talk in terms of the universe and I'm like, wait, are God and the universe the same thing for me? Like, is that what do I believe? And it's like I honestly don't think it really matters. I don't think God is insecure at all. And I think we're more insecure about what we and other people call God than God is. I heard the other day, God doesn't have a name. And I thought that was beautiful. I call God God because I've always called God God. It's like if you have a parent and you always call them dad and then you realize damn, that's really your uncle, and he just adopted you from like, I don't know, whatever, whatever scenario, but like, that's just what you call that person, and it's what they've always been to you. So like, or like if somebody's name is Amanda, and then all of a sudden you figure out her name is really Kimberly, and it's like, that's weird. I'm gonna still call you Amanda. I don't know. It's like, and you know what I always think of, a rose by any other name is still a rose. Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet. And honestly feel like that's exactly how it works with God. It doesn't matter, and God doesn't care what you call him, it, her. I don't think that matters at all. I think it matters much more of like, do I believe that you see me, that you actually care about me and my heart and the desires of my heart? And do I believe that you're more than willing to provide every desire of my heart? And again, it's not about anything other than we're here playing this game of this human experience. Like, yes, you can take it seriously. Yes, you can say there's all this pain and suffering, and I'm here to do this work. It's important, sacred work. Yes, and also blah, 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 blah. Because also, I feel like at the end of the day, at the end of the life, at the end of this, some people might say simulation, some people might say at the end of this, whatever it is, it kind of is a game. It's like we're here to experience the full spectrum of the human experience, and that's it. Like, I remember having this download once when I got surgery to get my tubes cut so I wouldn't have any more kids. I didn't want to take the pain medicine, so I told my ex, I was like, get me a brownie, an edible. 25 milligrams should do the trick. And I just didn't want to take the pain meds. Like, I'm just more natural minded. And he did, and I took it, and I I was high for 3 days. I'm not even exaggerating, 3 days. And on that third day, I was like, why am I still high? Like, and he looked at the bag, and it was a 50 milligram brownie. I have a very low tolerance, like 2 milligrams will, like, take me clear through the night. But, like, anyways, during that time, I received, oh my god, hours and hours upon hours of downloads. One of them was that, you know, the I don't really know how to articulate this necessarily, but, like, one theory is that we're all one, and we are all a piece of God, and in our consciousness, it was God that kind of divided itself to come here and experience life and just experience itself in different versions and different people of each other. I think that's how it goes, that theory. And it's like, we're all here on this planet Earth experiencing different experiences. And the thing that we get to take with us, that we get to contribute to existence in eternity beyond here, is our experiences. And whatever life that we live in, whatever experiences we experience, whether it's painful, whether it's joy, whether it's love, whether it's play, whether it's suffering, whether it's trauma, whether whatever, because it's all part of the human experience. And we each person here has a tapestry of every single experience. And it's like, once this place is said and done, once this earth and this human experience here is said and done and it's complete, it's like what we get to take with us is kind of like in the Akashic records, I guess, is what I would picture it as, is like all the tapestries of every human being who ever existed. And each tapestry is for each person. And each tapestry has all of their experiences. And like, we'll get to jump back and forth between them to kind of live in and feel and experience those, almost like a virtual reality. I know. I was so super high. I'm not high now, but I was then. And I was like, that is so beautiful. That is so beautiful of like, it's not about anything else than to experience, full stop. That's it. not even experience joy specifically, not even experience abundance, not even none of it, all of it. Experience all of it from the lowest to the highest vibration. And I think that's the non-duality of it, of like nothing is good and nothing is bad. It's just, it's the experience. It is what it is. And I think that's so beautiful. And I think it renders everything meaningless, but at the same time, it raises everything as sacred. Yeah. Because it is. And it's like you get to choose your worldview. And my favorite quote of all time, which is, I didn't hear this and I was like, I'm going to live my life this way. I heard this quote and I was like, damn, that describes me to a T. Like that one right there, that's the one. And it's Einstein. And let me see, I should have this memorized. Okay, let me think. There are two ways to live your life. One is as if nothing is a miracle, and the other is as if everything is a miracle. I don't know if that's the end of the quote. And it's something like, you know, and then that was on my dating bio a few years ago. Or like I don't know, whatever I was on there. And then I finished it off with saying, you know, welcome to my world. Here everything is magical. Because that explains me. It's like I'm just it's why I titled my podcast Let's Get Woo Woo, because one day again I was getting downloads and it was like, okay, it's time to start your podcast. This is what it's gonna be called. And I was like, I was just cracking up myself because I was like, oh my God, I'm so fucking woo woo. Like I can't even I can take it. I love it here, but it's just like it's a lot for some people that like are just really uncomfortable with the unseen and the mystery and like, you know, but like I wouldn't have it any other way. And like people can look at me and I don't know what they think, but a lot of them could probably think that I'm crazy because I don't play by the rules of this world because I don't think that's how it works. I really don't. I think everything is a miracle, literally. And I think we dilute the truth of the reality when we try to quantify it and identify it and explain it through science. I think science is beautiful. And I love it when science pushes up against something miraculous and is like, shit, I have no idea how to explain that one. I don't know if this is true, but I heard this once that science doesn't know how to explain either how or why a baby's heart starts beating in their mother's belly. Like it doesn't know. It's just, they just call it spontaneous. It's just spontaneous that it just starts beating. Like, and I'm like, I love it when science is like, damn, I don't know. Because to me, it's like, it's just more proof that like God, you know, of like, for me, it's just easy to just be like, of course, God was like, let there be life and touched the heart and the soul and dropped it in. It was like, boom. Like, why wouldn't you want to live that way? Of like, that's so easy to understand that. Of course, that's how it works. Duh. You want me to give you a quadratic formula to fit in here and to explain to you, like, why? Why do you need to know? I don't know. My brain's just not built with it. I do appreciate those people though. Like, was it Degrassi? I forgot his name. I love him, the scientist. But like I appreciate those minds because we have so much because of people who think that way. They were created that way for a reason. But like I love being able to just be like, of course that's how it works. Duh. Thank you. Oh my God. I feel like I'd started three other stories and I don't know where it went. And here we are. Yeah. It's very magical here. All in all, I'm just overwhelmed with gratitude to be living in this life. There's just this sense of like we've made it, and not by myself again. Like I couldn't have done this without the help of every single angel, every single grace, every single moment of every help that I've received throughout my life. I am regularly carried through hard things. Like, yes, I've experienced a lot of hardship. I'm not gonna compare it to other people's because some is way more, some is less, like, whatever. But, like, yes, I have experienced many hard times, relationships mostly, but, whatever. And I can honestly say that if it wasn't for those hard seasons, I wouldn't be as dependent on and as in love with God as I am. And so even though it was difficult and seemingly impossible, also, it was those moments and those seasons that brought me to my knees where I had no choice but to say, all right, God, here you go, because I got nothing. I got nothing here. Absolutely nothing. Like even when I was pregnant with the twins and I was high risk pregnancy and I had to fly to Colorado to have in utero surgery. This is my book, Journey to Nevaeh. I'd have in utero surgery that the night before the surgery, they had a meeting with us after all the a day full of MRIs and echoes and ultrasounds and all this shit. And the meeting at the end of that long ass day, I'm pregnant and just like super uncomfortable because I have all this fluid in my belly because of the twin to twin transfusion syndrome disease and whatever, all this stuff. And they have this meeting where they're like, make me and their dad sign this paper that basically says there's a 50+% chance that one or both of your babies are going to die. And I'm like, okay. Because the surgery was a specialty where we had the decision to fly to Colorado, Texas, and like California or something like that. And they only offered it in those states. And it was like twin to twin transfusion syndrome before that surgery was basically a death sentence. And they had that surgery. We were all fine. Thank God. That was a big part of the story. We get back and the perinatologist, which is a doctor for high risk pregnancies, said Nevaeh, she was diagnosed with critical pulmonary stenosis, which was a heart condition, and she would need heart surgery upon being born. And if she survived, she would need surgeries for her whole life. And she said, but first he said, oh, she's critical and failing, and kind of preparing me for a possible reality that she would die in my womb at like 22 weeks right after the surgery. I was on bed rest, modified bed rest, and I'm staying at my mom's house so she can take care of me and cook for me and like, make sure I'm nourished and taken care of and everything. Angel's working and he's packing up our house because we're getting ready to move in the middle of all this. And I'm on my Instagram and on TV and just I start seeing the words fully healed. And I'm like, huh. Because here I am over here praying for their survival, first of all, and then praying for God, help us to find the best doctor. And when she's born, make sure that you're in the room and that everything goes well with the surgery. And, and provide like the insurance and whatever we need, the medication, all the caretakers and like just that it all goes well. And I start to see the words fully healed following me around, haunting me. And I'm like, oh shit. It didn't even occur to me. It didn't even occur to me to think of a better way to think. I thought the best case scenario was give me the best doctor for my baby to have her heart surgery. And God was like, no, you're not dreaming big enough. Dream bigger. And it was like, ask me to fully heal her. And I was like, mm. And I started praying for that and only for that, of that we were all fully healed and that it was, and she made it through the pregnancy. They were born at 31 weeks and 3 days. She was 2 pounds and 14 ounces. Journey was 3 pounds, 7 ounces. They were in the NICU for about 2 months. Journey was there for, I think, I don't know, like 50 days. And Nevaeh was in there for 67 days, I believe. And when she was born, she did not need heart surgery. And, they obviously monitored her. We were at a level 4 NICU in Phoenix, and they monitored her like both of them like crazy. They each had their dedicated nurse, and then they shared a nurse after that, and they had their own NICU room. And they were monitoring them 24/7 the entire time they were in the NICU and just making sure that they were going through the milestones. And we brought Journey home first and then eventually Nevaeh home. That was in February when they were born. We brought them home in April, a little bit past their due date. And, their original estimated due date of full term. And, you know, they're home. Shit's crazy. I'm sleeping like in 15-minute increments between their feedings and everything else. And I still have Selah, who was 17 months when they were born. And just all of that insanity. And I'm still praying that she's fully healed. I'm still praying that she's fully healed. I never forgot those words. And then December comes and she's like 9 months. And we do a follow-up at Phoenix Children's Hospital. And they do the EKG. They put little stickers on her little body and they connect things and they check her heart and everything. And she's good. She's perfectly fine. And they gave me a paper that says so. And I asked the doctor, I go, does that mean she's fully healed? And he goes, yeah, pretty much. I go, okay, thank you. And I would have never chosen to go through that crazy time. I would have never chosen to have my babies at risk of anything, but it happened. And that season of the pregnancy, mostly because I was on bed rest, so I had so much stillness and like just here we are, like face to face, me and God. Like this is it. There's nowhere else to go. But like that was probably one of the most beautiful seasons of my life because I was so held, like the witness of God that just was like constant around me was like nothing I've ever experienced. It wasn't when I was pregnant with them and even praying for her to be fully healed, I still wasn't sure she was even going to be born okay. I wasn't sure she was going to make it to the next doctor's appointment. Her heart would still be beating. I didn't know. I didn't know. And I knew that I had to keep asking and I had to keep believing. But also something inside me just knew that even if, even if I don't get to keep my babies, one or both of them, I just felt like I still had to reconcile the fact that even if God is still good, like that just overwhelmed me of like just knowing. And I had such a peace about it of like part of me like desperately wanted them to be okay. And I didn't know that they were going to be okay, but I knew I was going to keep asking and I was going to keep believing like in faith, but there was no guarantee. But I knew that no matter what happened, God has been with me through this whole thing, holding my heart, carrying me, angels, all of it. And no matter what happened with one or both of them, I would still know and proclaim that God is good. And that was so important to me to earnestly feel that way in the midst of it. I don't know, like I struggle. It's almost like a survivor's guilt. I struggled a lot, especially afterwards when I would see pages of people mothers who miscarried or, stillborns or who lost their babies afterwards with SIDS or anything like that. And I struggled with it because I was like, and they would be like, I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. And I would be like, God, why did we both prayed for our babies? Like, why did I get to keep? And I don't know. I don't know for sure. I don't know. I just know that I'm grateful. And I'm grateful for the experience because it was such a beautiful time. Like, you just you don't build that kind of resilience in relationship with somebody unless you're going through the mud, unless you're going through just this terrible, like, tragic time that breaks you and breaks you and breaks you and breaks you, and, like, somebody's there to be with you. And it's not like they're gonna guarantee that it's gonna be okay, they're not gonna fix it. That's not the part that is sacred and meaningful. The part that means so much in that relationship is that they were there with you. And so every hard season of my life, my marriages that I was shattered in, like there was a distinct witness of God in my heart and carrying me through it. And even when I walked away from God, uh, the grace and the favor didn't stop. The protection kept going. And that's what I mean by when I say we've made it. And I couldn't have done this without you. I literally could not have done this without you. My whole spirit team, angels, God, the universe. And I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful. And I genuinely feel like the greatest gift of my life is the fact that I know God and his heart is my home. And because I know that I'm fully known by God, I'm fully seen. And in that, not in spite of the fact that I'm fully seen and everything that I've done, and not because I'm fully seen, but just because I'm fully loved, regardless, because I exist, because I'm God's child, God's creation. I am fully loved. And that's the thing that comes so naturally to me. That's the premise on which my whole existence is built on, is that. And because of that, I have integrity to carry myself with a pure heart because I'm a representative of God's love. Like, if that's my truth and that's my identity, that's my identity. And people can feel that whether they know how to name it or not. And so I must show up in a way that represents that truly unconditional love as it is. And like I said in my last podcast, I used to pray a lot for God to give me his heart and his eyes to see people. And he absolutely did. And it's for the purpose of people being seen by God through me and feeling even just a taste of that love. Because I'm still me, I'm still human, but like I'm a vessel for that because I've been a recipient of it my whole life. And because it's taken me decades to be able to rest in the knowing and the identity of I have nothing to prove. I have no one to save, and God is already pleased with me. And it's in that I find not just my freedom, but I find my strength and my joy and everything that pushes and carries me through every hard thing that pushes me and carries me to smile genuinely to people and look them in their eyes and just even if there's no words, it's like I see you. And I find myself deeply privileged to be able to exist in this way. It's my birthday. I'm 40 years old and I love it here. I love it here so much. Damn, this one was deep. I don't know if I'm going to share this. This is a lot. Obviously, it's audio only. I'll probably put the picture of that ocean. Maybe some of the ones that I took next to the photography gallery I was telling about. Anyways, I love you so much. God loves you so much. And I'm so grateful. Thank you for being here. I will talk to you later. Bye, friends.
I'm not telling you what to do. I'm describing what it was like for me. And that's it. That's all I have to offer. Lean a lot into the things that people kind of make fun of when they're like, oh, not to get woo-woo. Like, no, we're going to lean into it here. Like, we're going to get woo-woo. Like, let's have this conversation. Let's have all the conversations.